Hello, I'm Tom from TC Tiny. Welcome to my third fire resistant tiny house on wheels. This is a bushfire resistant tiny house down in Victoria. I'm going to take you through the methods that I've used to make this house as resistant as possible to radiant heat, to airborne embers, and also to flame contact as well. So here we have a silver top ash frame and with a steel lip on the outside. This steel sheet is wide enough to form the inner lip for the glazing, and also the outer lip which folds down against the sill, forming a double lip. It's quite an important fireproofing and weatherproofing method that allows me to have a tight, airtight seal without using rubber or foam. So that's going to close down against an ironbark lip, keeping out embers, keeping out radiant heat, and highly resistant to fire as well. The edges have just been smoothed over or rounded over to reduce the ignitability of all the timber. You'll see here this is a red ironbark frame. Red ironbark is an extremely resistant timber to ignition, and especially with the rounded edges, and all the small gaps have been filled with heat-proof silicone as well. The frame's fixed in extremely well. It'll remain stable under heat. Timber does that extremely well, far better than steel. So there is steel on the outside, but we make sure it's got a timber backing so that it remains stable and all the lips and remain airtight. And timber's also good at blocking convecting heat. So the steel on the outside doesn't transfer its heat through into the house. Definitely trying to keep the temperature of the house down to below 100 degrees. And to do that, again, on a different house here, I've got timber stopping the heat from transferring through to the inside. These winding windows work well with stainless steel fly screens as well. And the outside here forming a really tight seal. That's the only real weak point, is right up at the hinge, and it's still got a secondary lip behind it. You see it's tight, top, bottom, all the way along, making sure that it's resistant, going to keep out all the embers and remain as airtight as possible. All the windows have shutters, which are extremely important on a tiny house, looking to keep the heat out from the inside. These shutters are made out of ironbark and steel. There'll be a separate video on that, explaining how I've built them and how I've chosen them. So you can see we end up with a very flat, flush steel and magnesium board finish, very resistant to all forms of fire. Here we've got a window, a static window. It's not opening, and you can see the outside shutter folds down to form a bit of a table. The outer rim of this window is formed with 0.75mm steel. It's packed full of earth rock wool insulation, as much insulation as I can fit behind there, which is heavily fire resistant. You can see the steel lip is folded inwards as well, so it touches the timber frame and it forms the lip for the glazing. Glazing's then siliconed in with heat-proof silicone up to 300 degrees. And on the inside, I'm just using softwood. It's a relatively small piece of softwood, which is forming the inner lip, and this allows me not to have a window reveal. So that's light, quick, and cheap to produce. This is me testing the glass, which is 4mm toughened on the inside, 8mm toughened on the outside. It's got a 20mm argon filled gap in the center, which is heavily resistant to fire and stops a lot of heat transfer through to the inside of the house. Here I've got an opening window which opens inwards. All windows and doors would preferably open outwards for fire reasons, but that's just simply not possible. This one here, double lip, silver top ash frame, closes against the ironbark sill, and it's fixed with these aluminium latches which close really tightly. So we're getting a really firm lip there on the back side. On the front side, On the bottom, I can't have a weather stop. It would catch too much water. So I've got the gap down as tight as possible. And then it's once again shielded by a shutter as well. And on the top, ironbark, once again, rounded, smooth, tight, and a lot of fixings into the steel. There's a shutter forming a table, and another static window, and we've got a magnesium board cladding, and then the steel covering it. A lot of rivets, a lot of screws to keep it stable. Siliconed in. If I've got gaps in the corrugations, this is what I do here. Either intumescent cork or silicon. And then shutters on the outside, once again, are extremely important. So all those shutters are going to keep out a lot of radiant heat. They're going to keep the temperature cool. I've used various methods on 3 different fire resistant houses now. For more information on that, there's other videos on TC Tiny at Facebook as well, Instagram. And if you've got questions about the fireproofing, please leave a comment down below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I hope that's been helpful. I'm Tom from TC Tiny. Thanks for watching.